A new bombshell dropped today when Kevin Hayes revealed some things about when he played in Philadelphia that definitely need to be talked about. This is all coming up on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Locked On Blues. I am your host, Haley Taylor Simon, here with another episode for another day closer to training camp. Training camp is tomorrow, and a lot's been going on within the St. Louis Blues. So Kevin Hayes did not hold back about his time in Philadelphia. Media day was today, and how did that go for the St. Louis Blues? And training camp is tomorrow. Let's break down some lines, some expectations, and what us fans can expect to see. So that is all coming up here on Locked On Blues. Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Wow, there is a lot to digest today. First, I want to say this. Hey guys, it's Haley. How are you? I am doing well. Brayden Schenn was named captain yesterday of the St. Louis Blues, so I am on cloud 9. My reaction video is also on the page of YouTube at Locked On Blues or Twitter at Locked On Blues, so you can definitely see my reaction to that one. Now, let's get into some, I don't want to say drama, but a little bit of drama. So, basically, on the podcast, Cam and Strick, Kevin Hayes said, "My whole career, I've been on the penalty kill until Torts came in." And I can take this two ways. One, I understand that maybe there's some frustration, some tension with Philadelphia and Kevin Hayes. I can respect that. I can respect the fact that Kevin feels this type of way where he felt like he wasn't being utilized properly. When in New York, he obviously was on the PK. He did a good job with the Rangers, but ever since being in Philadelphia, while he was an all-star and despite the fact that he did play an okay game, he definitely, and I noticed looking back, wasn't being utilized as much as he was as being in the Rangers. And, John Tortorella is an interesting coach as he does things his way, and it's his way or no way. And I think that Kevin is a good hockey player, and I think that this statement isn't good. It's not. You can have a bad time with a coach. You can have a bad time with a team. You can feel like they weren't utilizing you properly, but going on to a podcast and bashing them doesn't make me feel so good. I don't like all this negative energy and complaining about a previous season. This is a new season with a new team, with a new coaching staff. This is an opportunity to talk about your excitement towards being a St. Louis Blue, not your hatred of a coach that you had from last season. And Kevin Hayes, obviously, he's later in his career, and I hate calling players old, so I don't do that. I say later in their career. And he has done quite a bit. I mean, he's been an all-star. He hasn't won the cup or anything, but he has been around the league for quite a while. But to go on and bash your old coaching staff is not the best look, especially when you were trying to form a relationship with St. Louis. And to me, it just kind of came across as, well, the back-checking issue that he didn't do. He didn't do a lot. He looked lost. And this did not sit well with any of, the St. Louis fans. And I can tell you, as the host of Locked On Blues, I did not like this. And this is a problem. He looked And I'm going to be careful because I know hockey players put in full effort, and I respect that. He looked lackadaisical on the ice. When you look back at tapes of him, he didn't stand out. Okay, like maybe if you were a guy like Connor McDavid and somebody didn't use you in a PK or the power play, you can have the right to say, and I'm using McDavid as an example because I know that if the Blues ever got Connor McDavid, like that would spice some things up. But I'm just using that as an example. Then absolutely you have the right to say, oh, I didn't feel like I was being utilized enough. But you're not a Connor McDavid. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like he is complaining and whining when there is no reason to. The Philadelphia Flyers, in all honesty, they're not a team that was going to make the playoffs. They're not a team that if putting you in the PK was going to really change up anything. And from seeing what Tortorella did do, it seems like he was putting in some of the younger guys to give them opportunities since that team wasn't going anywhere. And being a part of the St. Louis Blues, we respect Coach Berube as a fan base and as a team and an organization. We may not always agree with Berube. We may not always agree with the chief or army, but part of my cat was just spinning in circles. That was crazy. But part of being a part of a tight knot, and I want to say a top-notch team, because the Blues had that kind of family aspect to them, right? I would be extremely disappointed if he ever said anything bad about Berube after his time here. That does not sit right to me. And I don't know how many players actually say that kind of stuff and why he feels like this is an appropriate time when he's not even on that team. He is a part of the St. Louis Blues organization, and he should feel lucky that the Blues took him. I am not going to be negative and shame Kevin Hayes or, say that this is a bad signing because of a statement that he made on a podcast. But it's also PR 101. Don't go on a podcast and talk trash about your old team when you're on a new team trying to connect with a new fan base. I think the Blues social media team, they did a really good job of trying to connect Kevin Hayes to St. Louis with the whole Hi Kevin video. And I think just, showing him around at the facilities. But at the end of the day, this is on him. If he wants his image to be somebody that's going to talk bad about his old coach and complain about his lack of being on the PK when he didn't play his best, then I don't want to hear it. And that's the thing about hockey. Hockey is a game where it's action over words, and how you play reflects the amount of ice time that you get. And every single person, I think that's a hockey fan, knows that. And I could go on about my feelings towards this, but as a Blues fan, does it annoy me? Yes. As somebody that covers the Blues, does it annoy me? Yes. But I can see that maybe he was just expressing his frustration. But there's also not a need to do that on a podcast where it will go out to the public. And it's different to complain behind closed doors. I'm sure players, coaches even, there's so many people that do that all the time. I guarantee you. But just to go on a podcast and saying, oh, poor me, oh no. Well, how about the team, Kevin? And that's the one thing that I've seen about his statements. It's been a lot of statements about him. And I don't know. I just feel like this is a pattern with him with complaining, always moping around. And I hope he doesn't do that, because nobody at Enterprise Center wants to see somebody moping around, complaining and whining all the time. And it won't be acceptable. And it won't be accepted, and it's not acceptable. I don't know. I was not a fan of that. I think that just creates drama. And maybe in the leagues like NBA, where that's kind of what their offseason is, it's all drama. Like, that's literally the NBA. That's not what the NHL is. The NHL is a classy organization that just focuses on the game and doing good in the community. And it's disappointing when a guy who hasn't even played 1 minute as a St. Louis Blue comes on to a podcast bad talking his old coaching staff and his lack of time on the PK and complaining instead of just being excited about having an opportunity in St. Louis where the team recently won a cup and being able to play in front of really passionate fans. So I obviously can understand both sides, but I think there is a part of me that is annoyed because it just isn't the best look. And I expect more out of Kevin Hayes, to be honest. And that was really disappointing. Before I talk to you about Media Day, I just want to let you know about my friends over at Jase Case. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jase Case. The Jase Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you a peace of mind so you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure that you have the medication in hand. Jase Medical is simple. They handle everything from online evaluation to a licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consulting and care. Don't get caught up unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical Plus an additional $20 off by using code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Today was media day for the St. Louis Blues, as tomorrow is the first day of training camp. I had to be really dramatic about that because I cannot believe that it's actually happening. This whole entire week seems like a movie. Okay, so this was actually called Content Day, but I still call it Media Day because it's basically just doing like a bunch of media and things like that. So, this is a clip that I got from reading about some of the things that went on today. Have you ever asked yourself which Blue can name the most Kardashians, or how much does Justin Folk know about Friends? Probably not. But you can find the answers in the St. Louis Blues games throughout the season. So it seems like today was the day where they asked the players like the silly little questions like, how many vegetables that are green can you name? Like things like that. And while you might say, hey, like, is that really that big of a topic? I'm going to tell you why. To me, it seems like a bonding time between the players and kind of being able to sit back, relax before all the hard work begins, and just being able to have one more day of just being silly and goofy, because these players know once tomorrow comes, it is all business. And it's also interesting too for some of these players to hear their answers. So the Blues players arrived to the rink before 7 a.m. and they were sent through 12 different stations, which could have included posing in front of a green screen for graphics, modeling different shirts and hats for auctions, or playing head-to-head games. And yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy, but it seems like this content day was a big group effort. And yeah, all 60 Blues from the training camp roster came by. So yeah, so what is media day? What is content day? Well, this is a good way for these players to relate to fans as well. I think the whole Kardashian thing is kind of a little overrated now, to be honest. So I don't really like that was in there. But like if you're at a Blues game and they ask, what's your favorite type of smoothie? And a player says, like Justin Folk says, strawberry banana. Okay, wow, we have something in common. I know it's simple, but it's just a way, I think, for the players and the fans to kind of have that connection. And in a day of social media, it is also important to just show us who these players are off the ice. Obviously, I care about what they do on the ice, but I think that this day is a fun day for fans, and I couldn't be too upset about it. And another thing the Blues are doing, by the way, are Blues and Brews, and it is Friday at Anheuser-Busch Brewery. And Paraka will be there, and so will Captain Brayden Schenn, Assistant Captain Robert Thomas, Binner, Folk, Hayes, Berube, and Knox, and Chris Lane. And you should too. So this is another event with the fans, and I love how much fan engagement this organization has been up to this getting ready for the season. I think that the Blues are heading in a direction where they do want to connect with fans, and I think that this team definitely needs the fans behind them this season. And I know that might sound silly to you, but think about it. With the season that the Blues had last year, and I'm not going to dwell on it much longer because now there's going to be better things to talk about, but it is one of those things where the supportive fans can really help regain a player's confidence. And I don't know if there's like a particular player that I think is lacking confidence, but it definitely is one of those things where, as a Blues fan myself, as somebody that covers the Blues, I don't think it's the worst. Okay, thank goodness for this pause button, by the way, that StreamYard has, which is what I record out of. I do have a little bit of a cold, and I was having a coughing fit. And about a month ago, it didn't even have that feature. So I would have just had to redo the episode being like 16 minutes in. So fun. But overall, I'm excited about how excited these players look and their enthusiasm. So for all of you St. Louis Blues fans, there is plenty of opportunity to connect with these players, whether it's social media, we're going to some of these events that they're having, and more. So that is a wonderful thing, and I 100% respect it. So if you are in the St. Louis area, definitely check out some of these events because they are free to the public, and it's a great opportunity to maybe meet some of your favorite players too. Before I talk to you about training camp and some more expectations of the players, I am going to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So one thing for me, now that the NFL season is underway, I have been betting, like using like all of their different promos, and your girl has won some money. It's not a lot, but it's something because I don't bet that much, but I have been winning. And maybe some money for some hockey apparel. So you never know. Oh my gosh, I'm so corny. Hold on, I need to pause it again. And I'm back just like that, magic. Okay, so the Blues training camp begins tomorrow. And I've been thinking a little bit about the St. Louis Blues and what I expect from them from training camp to the season. And obviously, I know training camp, it's a process because you have preseason, the practices. It's kind of like the full swing again, but it's really not because you're going to have all those guys at training camp, and it's definitely not going to end with all those guys. So let me talk to you about my line predictions for the season. Okay, so this is okay. Robert Thomas on the first line. I could see, because of Brayden Schenn being the captain, just hear me out, I could see them switching them. So Shenny is up in the first, but I don't see that happening. I still think Schenn will be in the second line. But now that he is named captain, I'm like, I don't know. That could always be a possibility. So don't be like blindsided if that happens. But I still think Thomas will be the center for the first line. So I think it's going to be Thomas, Bush, and then Cairo. And then second line, Shenny's line, it will be Brayden Schenn, and then Kasper Kapanen. Okay, so this is where things could get a little tricky So obviously, who I talked about before, Kevin Hayes is back. Well, not back, but he's basically a Blues. Oscar Sundqvist is back, but Kevin Hayes, he just came to attack. No, I can't rhyme. It could go either way between the two. I could honestly see it being Oscar Sundqvist with the third line and Kevin Hayes with the fourth. But winging Hayes, it's going to be Neighbors probably and maybe Blay. That's who I think. I don't know because I like Oscar Sundqvist with Checo and then Vrana. But like that could be switched too. Like I'm just thinking line combos on what I would like to see. But it would be interesting though to have Kevin be the fourth line and Oscar be the third line because I just feel like that would flow better because I like Oscar with the Neighbors actually. I could really just see a lot of different combinations. So that's how I feel about forwards. Defensive pairings, nothing too crazy. I think it's going to be Nicky Leddy and Colton Paracco on the first defensive pairing. Now, Torrey Krug is injured. So, oh man, this coughing. Hold on, I need a coffee. I am back. I'm so sorry about that. So, basically, one of the prospects is going to have to step up and show that he can take Torrey's place. I don't know who exactly off the top of my head, but whoever that is going to be with Justin Folk, and then Marco Scandella and Robert Bortuzzo. Now, when it comes to the Blues, the St. Louis Blues, and you want to think of different defenders, not one stands out to me. And I hate that. I think that. But that is the reality for this camp is that not one. I really do like Tyler Tucker, but I don't know, maybe Kale Rosin, Matthew Kessel. I don't know. I'm going to really need to evaluate how these guys do because there's not one particular defenseman that I'm looking at that I'm like, oh, yeah, that would be a perfect fit. I think they just need to prove a little bit and show me what they're going to do. But that's why this is so important for training camp because, as I said in yesterday's episode, even if you're with the AHL, you could still be brought back up to play for the St. Louis Blues in the NHL. And you never know when they're going to need you or utilize you. So this camp's an important time to see how you will fit in with the St. Louis Blues if you're not one of those guys that makes the final roster, but could potentially be brought back up again, if that makes any sense. I am excited, though, for training camp. There's going to be a lot of evaluation. I'm excited to hear what Berube's going to think about the guys. And basically all summer, this is what it's been leading up to is this moment at training camp. Well, not this moment, but the training camp moment. This moment, I'm hoping that the training camp goes well. But I'm going to give a prediction because here on Locked On Blues, I like to give some predictions so that way my everydayers can give some back and we can look back at this. So make sure you are in the YouTube comments or you're tweeting me, letting me know some of your predictions of training camp. I am going to give this training camp a C+ and a B-. A C+ overall, I think that's how it's going to be. And a B- for my expectations. I think the Blues are going to actually do better in expectations than I have. But I think overall, it's still going to be a C+. I know. Does that make sense? To me, it does. All right. Well, how I end every single episode here on Locked On Blues. And before I say that, because I have to end that last, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, 5 days of Blues talk are back now. So it's not a 3-episode week. It is a 5-day week. Okay, now I can say it. Resume hail. Let's go Blues.